Never worked on anything like this. I doubt I ever will again. It's that distinct.
I mean, it's just been the most extraordinary journey. Chuck's completely different from anyone else I've played, actually.
I was struck by how atypical a piece it is for Stephen King, because I've read a lot of Stephen King, but mostly horror. It was about people and their lives and their hopes and their dreams and life and death and just all of it.
I love working with Mike so much. As soon as he called me about it, I knew I was already in before I had read the script, to be honest.
I was so invested so quickly. In those sort of rare instances where you just cannot tell where something is going, but you almost want to skip through because you desperately want to know what's going to happen.
What are the seminal moments? What are the memories that stay with you? How do those memories compile into a life? When you have something really distinct like this story, and when you feel like that can be adapted in a way that's cinematic, it's pretty exciting.
I read the short story just before If It Bleeds was published, and Stephen King's camp had kind of sent it out all over town, like they do with a lot of his new books, just to see if there was interest in it. And there were 4 stories in the book, and Life of Chuck knocked me over. It was one of my favorite things that I read from him in many years, and I'm a ride or die King fan, but this one really hit me in the heart.
Mike fell in love with the story straight away, sent it to me, and I thought it was a movie that was very difficult to make, but that was super interesting and original and fresh.
The structure of the story is completely unique. King does something really incredible where it starts as this huge story, and he says it in the book. The first words are Act 3. You're thrown into the end at what seems to be the end of the world. And you meet a character named Marty Anderson, who's a teacher, and it's at a time on the planet Earth where everything seems to be falling apart.
Do you know what that means?
Well, you're saying the Earth's rotation is slowing down.
Exactly.
Marty is coming to a point of realization. He's trying to still be a teacher, really, and trying to hold some semblance of normality.
I'm teaching the kids Carl Sagan right now.
He's also dealing with a broken heart, his marriage that didn't work out, and he's dealing with the fact that he still cares for her.
They're sort of coming to terms with the fact that this is all going to be over very soon, and kind of dealing with that emotionally and experiencing what the end of the world feels like. This character is a natural caretaker. She married the character of Marty, who I think enabled her even more to play that caretaker role. It's probably not the healthiest thing. So they're actually no longer together, but they still have like a very deep, strong bond and connection.
We meet them kind of in this place of bewildered acceptance. And from there, the story begins to get a little mysterious. Marty notices a very odd billboard driving home that shows a man named Charles Krantz, who seems to be retiring.
You see this guy, Chuck everywhere, and nobody's heard of him. Why is he the face of the end of the world? His appearance and his demeanor doesn't seem to fit with where we are.
It just seems like a strange non sequitur in the middle of all of this apocalyptic chaos, that there's a 39 great years, thanks Chuck, billboard up there. From there, King takes the story in a number of very unexpected places, and you end the story with Act 1. What feels like a story about the end of the universe is revealed to be the story about the life of one person.
You think, oh, now I want to know who Chuck is. And then you get to. It starts with Act 3, moves into Act 2, and finishes with Act 1.
It really embraces that idea that a life only makes sense when looking back. Starting at the end and working our way to the beginning.
I play Chuck as a middle-aged man. You meet him first through the section of the film that I'm in Act 2, where he's an accountant and he's at a conference and he's on his way to work and he's getting his coffee and minding his own business, thinking about numbers, looking forward to getting home, and then this totally magical thing happens, and before he knows it, he's dancing.
Instead of floating on by,
Day one of the whole picture. So that's the crew's first day, it's our first day, Mike's first day. It's like all of us like, let's go, Life of Chuck. Dance.
Each of the acts is directly about a particular moment in Chuck's life that define him as a person.
He's got enormous love and enormous joy inside him, but it's contained inside a very quiet exterior. And that interior joy just bursts out of him.
He's revisiting his childhood where he was very accomplished at dancing.
This isn't about telling the entire story of one life. It's about telling the story of the three pillars that made that life what it is. I was very nervous about these sequences. They're huge in the book.
I remember circling in my script, could you set the bar any higher? They say they dance like Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly, and Jennifer Beals all rolled into one. I thought, wow.
I wanted to make sure we did it as well as we could.
Mandy Moore is choreographing, and she did Taylor Swift's tour, so she knows what she's doing.
My role as choreographer is to create all the dance steps and then coach the actors to do the dance steps and then make sure our director Mike is happy when they do the dance steps.
It was a long and thorough rehearsal process for the dance in particular, because we want this to live alongside some amazing dance sequences that have been committed to film over the years.
Chuck has a sort of solo before he starts dancing with Janice.
Chuck eventually does like a partner dance on the street with, Annalise, our actress.
Annalise is absolutely fantastic. She's done everything I've done backwards and in heels. Big respect. I remember it was on a Zoom meeting, I think, with Mike and Trevor. I was like, who's playing the drummer? It's so important. And Mike said, we found Taylor Gordon, also known as the Pocket Queen. Taylor's clearly got this extraordinary raw talent. Very obviously has dedicated herself to her art. I don't want to it sounds like a cliche, but she literally never missed a beat.
So dance in this film is really interesting because it's not one style. It's multiple styles. It comes from this idea of Chuck as a younger child, learning from his grandmother, and then also learning in his dance class or his dance club at school.
Yeah, if we scooch you just a little that way, just a tiny bit, that'll open it up a little.
Then Sweet Little Benjamin has, a lot of musical theater experience. And nice and easy on the speed of the turn. Take your time. You got it. Dance can be so many different things, but you really have to kind of pick a lane. I kind of pitched to Mike that I think it could be things like a cha-cha or a waltz or swing dancing, which I really felt like his grandmother would have taught him in the kitchen as a young kid.
And certain things would start to land. Bossa Nova started to feel really good. Salsa, samba. And we were rehearsing every single day, doing it for 4 hours. And there was one sequence in the polka which felt like Annalise and I were really kind of wrestling with it. We didn't have enough time in the count. And I said, I want to spin you and then spin you back.
What was really great is, obviously, through Mike's direction, he was able to give Taylor, our drummer, and the music team, an idea of a roadmap of kind of what he wanted to feel.
But it was magic because of everything. Because of the light, because of Taylor, because of the frame, because of all these amazing background performers who were super into it. I'll never forget that.
Roll sound, please.
Sound speed?
Marking?
Almost perfect. Take another run of these two. You don't need to sigh. You're good at this, You're really good at it.
Yeah, but it's boring.
Boring? What, you mean man? I play Chuck's grandfather, very young Chuck, and I'm just in Act 1. Albie is absolutely in love with his child, and he knows that he's special, and he wants to share his enthusiasms with his grandson.
I'm very fond of saying that you should never meet your heroes in this business, except Mark Hamill. I've, like everybody, idolized since I was very young. He's Luke Skywalker, and he carries that with him. That tattooed itself on his life and his identity, to the point that I think a lot of people don't know what Mark is capable of.
I mean, what's the language of dance? How do you learn your steps? It's even in the name. I mean, they call it the count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. What's a waltz? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just numbers, just math. More than that, there's an art to it. It's unexpected because Albie is sort of a quiet fellow. And the only thing that really gets him excited is accounting.
Albie's going to give him a little life lesson about the nature of math, and it turns into about the nature of art.
Thank God I had 3 months with the script, because he goes off for 4 pages about the joys of math.
Everything that's important to them, every weakness they have, every vice, every dream, is all here in numbers.
When you're in character and the way it's written, you totally understand his love of math, and he's trying to impart it to his child.
Some schmuck comes in here, takes those numbers, does the math without artistry, someone loses their house.
Ooh, do a little art.
I saved someone's life.
That's what accounting is.
His work in this movie, I believe it's the best thing I've ever seen him do as an actor. We were stunned at the monitor.
There's such joy in his performance, and there's a lot of love in the performance, and there's a lot of specificity in the performance that really, I think, will surprise people.
You have art in you. There's nothing else I'd rather be doing. You don't think of them saying, hey, let's get Mark Hamill. So I really am grateful to Mike and to Trevor for even thinking about me.
Everybody just hang tight for a minute.
Great working with Mike. You know, I'm a very big fan of his work, and also just a fan of his style.
That's the first time you really feel their hands move and move their arms and their shoulders.
I love directors that have a vision, that put you kind of pointing a certain direction. You know, they say like, hey, I think we're gonna go north, you know, and you just go like, okay, sweet, I'm gonna give you this 75,000 things that we can do going north.
He was a really experienced editor when he first became a director, and you could really feel that when he was directing.
Yeah, well, so much. It'll be an editor's dream.
There's something very precise, you know, which I knew going in because I think you can tell in his other projects.
He didn't shoot anything that he didn't need. He already knew what he was going to cut to and little moments he was going to use.
And he's so prepared. He has been so open with me about his process and sharing his shot list, and no film has an infinite amount of time, and this is a really ambitious project in a short space of time, and his preparation and his intelligence and his warmth, and it's really been a privilege.
I also just love watching what he does on set. He's always just so nice to people and so involved with his work. It's great.
And action!
And with a project like this, which is emotional and heart-led, I think having somebody like Mike and somebody with his kind of personality is really the only way to do it in a way.
The movie's different genre-wise than some of Mike's previous work and our previous work, but what it does is use some of the cinematic language of genre to tell a really life-affirming story. So for anybody who's previously a fan, I think there's a lot here for them, but I also think it's breaking some new ground that's really exciting for us, and for fans of Mike as a filmmaker, I think there's something here for you.
The only things I knew going in, I knew that it was Mike Flanagan and I knew it was Stephen King. And if you knew about the work of those two men, you would probably imagine this is going to slightly make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. You're always drawn in by the thrill. But there's also, I realize, another side to both Mike Flanagan and Stephen King. And I think this story, The Life of Chuck, has more in common with the Stephen King of The Shawshank Redemption.
It's not typical for Stephen King, and I don't think Mike's done anything quite like this either.
I was really moved by it and really thrilled by it and really excited by it.
This might be the best movie that I ever get to work on. Like, it's just such a gift of a story. So joyful and life-affirming and bittersweet and true without an ounce of cynicism. It immediately struck me as the kind of project that I wanted to leave in the world for my kids to be able to experience when they're old enough.
The three seemingly disparate acts are connected by a thread about making connections. I think that's at the center of the film.
The movie's about, how there are moments in life. And you don't always know when those moments are, and you might not recognize them when you're in them. But In hindsight, they tend to be important, and this movie distills that idea, which I think we can all relate to, into a very resonant form.
If you're right, then you might be that this really is the last times and the universe is dying. And let's just say it's a fast death, even if all of this is happening in the last split second, microsecond. Who knows how long that'll last?
Mike has this extraordinary ensemble of actors that he's worked with before, and I feel really grateful to him and to Trevor for inviting me in and let me play on that team. It's a pretty great team.
This character is very different because I've never actually played a character that had like other versions of him, like older versions and younger versions. So it's really interesting to watch the other actors and kind of see what they do and then see what I can use there in my performance.
And I love being in big ensemble pieces where, first of all, the pressure's not all on one person. I always look at the overall product as some delicious stew. If you can bring just the right spices, maybe the right couple of vegetables, you can make your little contribution, and if you do it right, then you've got a much more tasty meal.
I guess Life of Chuck is the story of a man who is trying to rationalize the sort of insanity and beautiful, wondrous chaos of being alive.
All we have are our connections to each other and our relationships. Remember, your life is magic because it's so brief. We're not here for long.
And action. Yeah, that's it. I love it. I love it. Absolutely love it.
That's my hope for this, is that this story moves into someone else's heart the way it moved into mine when I read it. And if we can bring that to other people, then all of us did our job.
I know I'll be friends with these people for the rest of my life, and that doesn't always happen.
It's been a reminder to me to find more joy in the world, because it's there.